Okay, perfect.
Hi, this is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is John. I'm here with Brian from AYBL Maine, and we are doing our top 10 songs by the Scorpions. So this was really interesting to do. I have a feeling our lists are going to be a little different, but let's see how it goes along, right?
Yeah,
We were just
exactly.
talking.
With that many albums, it should be different.
Yeah,
It should be.
yeah, yeah. They have a large discography. Like we were just saying, they've been around close to 50 years, and not many people know that. You know,
Yeah, that's
a
incredible.
lot, a lot of people think of the Scorpions as like an '80s band. And no, they've been around a long time, and they have a lot of different styles. So I guess I'll start off.
Yeah,
Is that
once you
fine?
start, yeah.
Okay. So my number 10 is from the Blackout album, and it's called China White. And it's a song maybe not as popular as the other ones. Now, Blackout is my favorite album. I think that's just a 10 out of 10 album. It is it's a happy song. You know, it has a nice riff to it. It's kind of like slow moving, and it almost reminds me of like a Led Zeppelin song because it has like this riff and then it goes right into the verse. You know, something like the song like Black Dog from Led Zeppelin 4, and it just has this riff that kind of repeats throughout the entire song. I thought that was like pretty cool. And you do, as it progresses, you do hear some harmonica on it. It's fairly simple, but I think it's just one of those songs that's like really a heavy hitting song, and it's just very memorable. So that's why I chose it for my number 10. Yeah.
Wow. So Blackout was like early 80s. That's like 82, right? That's pretty early.
Blackout, I believe
Yeah.
it was 81, and
81. Okay.
I will be mentioning that a little later on. I think I
Okay.
have another one from that album. Yeah.
Okay. I went pretty okay with my number 10. I went pretty basic. There was probably some songs where I thought that were going to be in the top 10.
Yeah.
This one could have not made it, but I guess we might as well go ahead and acknowledge that it actually existed. And I think it's mostly for the reference of the time frame that they were in. And I picked Wind of Change. I
Okay.
picked that
Yeah.
when it was like 1990 album that they released, and it was right on. I was in the military at the time. It was right on the cusp of the Cold War ending, and I
Yeah.
can't imagine that any nation was affected more than Germany was when that actually happened, because the Berlin Wall comes down.
Yeah.
You know, two halves of a country are again united, and this song seemed to be kind of important to the band in a lot of ways. I like the beginning of the song where the guitar is just very subtly playing, and it's got this really flat whistle that you're using at the beginning
Yeah.
of the song. I mean, it's a power ballad. I'm not gonna say that it isn't anything more than that. That's all it is, and it's very indicative of the time. But I thought it's important because this is a song that was clearly important to the band, being from Germany.
Yeah. And that's a really big song from them. You know, because I live in Mexico, and I've been hearing that song a lot, like, you know, ever since I've moved here. Because that's a song that's just very big, like all over the world.
Yeah,
I actually don't have that on my 10, but that would be an honorable mention for me because
yeah,
that is a really great song, and it is really important, you know,
yeah.
just the message it has. Okay, cool. My number 9 is going to be kind of a strange one, but I just kind of like I just think it's kind of funny. It's called Only a Man, from Animal Magnetism. And remember when we were talking about when we did the Chili Pepper song, and we were talking about what was that song? I Could Have Lied, and
Yeah.
I was saying that like he said he could have like cheated, and if he had admitted to it, it's kind of similar, but it's like a different attitude because basically he's saying, you know, he's a rock star, and he's like talking to his wife or girlfriend, and he's saying, you know, you're the one I want to be with, but you got to bear in mind that I go out, there's all these women throwing themselves at me, and I can't control myself. I'm just a man. It's kind of like it's it's something that like I've never like heard like in lyrics before, and it's, you know, you probably couldn't get away with it these days, but
Nah, I don't think they'll buy
no, but
it.
I guess maybe back in the '70s, like they got away with it. But it's a good song, and it's a good rock song. Animal Magnetism, that's another great like heavy album for the late '70s. That's another
Yeah.
good one. And that's why I chose that, you know.
Yeah.
Not that I condone that behavior, but I thought that was just it's an interesting lyrics, just because it was like representative of like the time period. Yeah,
Yeah. Good.
yeah,
Okay. Number 9 for me, it would be the first of, I think, now that I've run their discography, side 2 of Animal Magnetism may be my favorite side
yeah,
of any Scorpions album.
yeah.
And number 9 for me is The Zoo. It's the second to last track.
That's a great one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a really great. It's got this great marching drums
yeah.
and bass that kind of carries it through. I remember the song. See, now I start to date myself all the time. I remember the song because it was a theme song to a wrestler, Bam Bam Bigelow, for the
Oh, really?
for the WWE back in the '90s. I remember that song playing like as his theme song when he would come like marching into the arena. I thought it was great. I remembered the song when I started to play it, and I'm going, wow, I do remember this song. I really like. I just love the bass and the drums on this song, and it's as part of the whole album. This song and the song that ends the actual Animal Magnetism, uh, I think are very strong together. I think perfect back-to-back songs for that album. I will say this: Animal Magnetism, just like every other Scorpions album, you run the risk that they always got to change their album cover, because they always have the most sexually suggestive album covers, to say the nicest way possible I can say it. Yeah. So
Yeah, those 70s album covers are pretty bad. But yeah, but that is a great album. I've had, you know, I've had some subscribers from Germany who have told me that that's like their favorite album of all their discography.
Yeah.
And I will be mentioning that, and I have a couple other points that I'll be talking about, but I'll save it for later. Okay, my number 8 is going to be Your Light by Taken by Force. This is an album. It came out in 1977, I believe, and this is like one of my favorites of like the late 70s. It's an underrated album. I think it doesn't really get the attention it deserves. Your Light, it's a hard rock, maybe metal song, but it kind of has like a disco beat. I thought that was pretty cool, and really great vocals on it. And I really love the guitar work in this. You know, really great solo. But it's just like one of those like really like catchy songs. It's a hard rock song, but it does kind of have like almost like I said, like a disco beat. So I thought that was pretty cool. And so yeah, so that's it for my number 8 from Taken by Force. That's another really great album.
Yeah, I'll be talking about that album too in the future here. So that's
great. Cool. Yeah,
I like it. I like it. Number 8 for me, I went with a song I think that everybody knows when they hear it, but they're not necessarily don't know who it is. They know it's from the 80s, but they don't know who it is, and that's Big City Lights.
From, yeah, it's another good one.
From Love at First Sting.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those tracks. I mean, everybody. I mean, you listen to it and go, "Wow!" It sounds like a hair band '80s song. You know, so it's very much of the time.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. I thought it definitely deserved to go up here. I was surprised at how close it was to maybe their most infamous song, as far as what a favorite is of mine.
Yeah.
We'll get into that a little bit later down on the charts here. But I think it's actually a very strong song. It's very good.
Yeah, I like it. And yeah, I will be touching upon that later. But yeah, they were like, you hear their songs, and the song came out in '86, but yeah, it was very like representative of that time. And you hear the American bands came out in like '87, '88 with that like same exact sound. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That same exact sound. Yeah. Okay, so my number 7 is another one by Taken by Force called Sails of Charon. And this is one of those really heavy songs. It just has this really great heavy riff. I really like his vocals. Klaus Mein's vocals are kind of a little bit more, maybe slightly more aggressive than other ones. And considering this came out in 1977, there wasn't a lot of heavy metal out. You know, people think of there was like Black Sabbath, there was Judas Priest, maybe a little bit of Kiss, but this is a very heavy song for the 70s, and it just has a really great, memorable riff. So that's why I chose this one. And for my number 7, so this is another great one.
Okay. All right. Number 7 for me is I'm kind of going back to maybe what would be basic. If walking into this, I said there's like 3 or 4
Mhm.
songs that I thought would be on the list, and this
Yeah,
one actually survived the list. So
yeah,
even though like it's surprising when I went back and I looked at how well it charted, it actually didn't chart that well. But even
yeah,
though a lot of people know the song, and that's "Rhythm of Love" from Savage Amusement,
yeah,
it's kind of, you can tell it's of the time. They were trying to keep up with kind of what the hair bands were doing
yeah.
at the moment, you know. And so, but
Mhm.
the guitar work on it is very, it's just like the song itself. It very more rhythmic than a lot of their other stuff before. You know,
Yeah,
everything else before, it felt to me, was always a little heavier. This one, the guitar work on Savage Amusement seemed to be a lot more rhythmic, and maybe
yeah,
that's because more production work, post-production work was going into the songs after the band, you know, would initially record it. I
yeah.
think a lot of that was happening. But even my wife knows this song, so that tells you just how accessible the song is, you know.
Yeah, that was a big song. I do remember a lot from the '80s. But yeah, I'm surprised it didn't chart as well. I think
75, it only got as high as 75 on the
that's
Billboard
surprising.
chart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's a song I like. They've played it on the radio a lot. I mean, I've heard it, on rock radio like throughout the years. But yeah, I think like hair metals just didn't really get that much, like didn't really like hit the charts as much until I think maybe like late '89, '90s, right? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially with those ballads. Okay, great one. My number 6 is going to be another different one, but I kind of gravitate towards the heavy songs, called Alienation from the album Face the Heat. This one came out in 1993, and this could probably be their heaviest song, I would say. It could be something that like would be on like a Metallica album. It just has that really heavy, crunchy riffs, and again, really great vocals. Like I said, it would fit on like Metallica's Black Album. It has that type of sound, and it's pretty cool. The lyrics, I'm not really sure. Like I was reading the lyrics, but I know there was a TV show and a movie called Alienation back in the early '90s, but I'm
Yeah,
not
there
really.
was. Yeah. It had James Caan in it. Was it James
Yeah,
Caan? Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
remember it was a movie and a series.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not really sure if the song is based on that because it just could be just talking about like immigration, like in
Hmm.
general. But anyway, like I said, I gravitate towards the heavy songs, and this is probably like one of the most like metallic ones. So
Perfect.
that's why I have at my number 6 here.
What do I got? I got we're at number 6, right?
Yeah,
Okay, I've got from Blackout. I've got No One Like You.
yeah,
What I mean, this one here kind of was my kind of metal that I was kind of into, because
yeah,
the riff on this sounds very much like Rainbow in the Dark
yeah.
by Dio. It does. It sounds a lot. When I listen to it, I'm going, wow, that is really close to their riff. And
That's cool.
that's the kind of hard, dark metal that I was kind of into during that time. Black Sabbath's Heaven and Hell, you know, and
Yeah,
then Rainbow in the Dark. I mean, I was listening to Metallica and Metal Church back in those days.
yeah,
So it was all that type of sound anyway. So I picked this one there. I thought it was I thought it was the best song on the Blackout album, and I was surprised at how well I liked the Blackout album. I had never really heard any of the material on there at all until
yeah.
I did the running list, and it was a very strong album. So I want to make sure that I put that high up there.
Yeah, I'll actually I do have that coming up, so I won't really comment on that right now. But that is another awesome song.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 5 is from Love Drive, called Holiday. Really great ballad. It's another well-known song. It's fairly simple. It's actually kind of like repetitive. They say, "Let me take you far away." It's like a holiday, and they do kind of repeat that a lot. But because of that, it's very catchy, and it could be a power ballad, like, because it does have some heavy parts. There's a part in the middle where the heavy guitars come in, and that sounds really good, and then it kind of goes back to the softer part. But this is just a really one of those songs I've always liked. And from the Love Drive album, I think this is the only one I have from the Love Drive album. That's just another one of those albums with the horrible cover. But,
Not as bad as Virgin Killer, but yeah, it was up there.
yeah, Virgin Killer is the worst.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a great song, and I think it really stands the test of time. And it came out in I believe '79, and I do feel it's a little ahead of its time because it does kind of have that like power ballad sound that was kind of used in the '80s a lot more often.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this is where everything kind of like went crazy for me. There was, like I said, there was the list I thought this was going to be when I started, and then there was the list of where it actually is. And so I was surprised that I'm like, yeah, I thought this would be number 1 on my list, you know, just as a fledgling Scorpions person. But now that I've listened to their other stuff, I think it's lucky to be number 5. And I got number 5. I've got Rock You Like a Hurricane. I think it's a great song, but maybe it was grossly overplayed, and not just by on the radio, but by the guys trying to learn guitar down the hall in your dormitory. They feel like that's one of the 3 songs they figured they got to learn in order to be a guitar player. That, Smoke on the Water, and Stairway to Heaven, right? Just drives you crazy that they won't learn any other songs, you know? But it's a good song. I wanted to give it its credit because it's probably their most popular song that people can identify with.
Yeah.
But I was only willing to go as high as number 5. And then after this is where all the surprises happen for me. So
yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's funny how you said that with the guitar, because that is one of the risks. You know, when I started learning guitar, I learned that one and Smoking. Those 3 songs you mentioned, I did. Yeah, I did learn. But it is because it's just basic heavy metal. It's those power chords where you just put you know, use the 2 fingers on the top 2 strings and kind of move back and forth. And you know, that is it's a great song. I don't have it on my list, but that would be like one of my honorable mentions.
Right.
Okay. Where am I? Number 4. Okay. My number 4 is going to be a little different. From the Crazy World album, called "Send Me an Angel." Send Me an Angel from the Crazy World album. Now, Crazy World album was a really good one. That was the one that had Wind of Change on it, and that was
the ending track, right?
That's the last track, and I do think that, you know, over time that is like the better ballad, in my opinion, on that album. But anyway, it's just a really great song. It has a lot of like orchestral elements. It has when it sings the chorus, you hear like the backing vocals, and it's almost like a choir. It's like really, I really like how they mixed it. It's just it's very like light, very like soft song, but it's just very melodic, and it's just one of those like stick in your head songs, and it just one of those very like relaxing songs, and that's why I like it. It's just a really great ballad to end the album. You know, Crazy World. It was good. It was. I do like a lot of the songs. There were a few more songs from that album that like just didn't make the cut. Like, for example, like "Tease Me, Please Me," that opening track I really liked. But so that's it. I actually like this better than "Wind of Change." So,
yeah. Wow. All right. Still, I mean, at least something from Crazy World made it on there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now here's where everything kind of turned on end for me. I have at number 4, I have "Entrance" from Entrance.
Cool.
And I like it because I really like psychedelic rock.
Yeah.
And I really like neo psychedelic rock too. And I consider this, when I listen to this and knowing what they were in the 80s, this is like that bridge song where it's got those psychedelic rock and prog rock elements.
Yeah.
And you could tell where they were going though, where they were making that transition into heavier metal.
Yeah.
So this is like, I feel like the song that kind of typifies that. And anyway, from my first time going through the catalog anyway. So I put it here. I like the heavier sound of it. I like the marching like quality to it, which is the metal that I'm kind of used to.
Yeah.
You know, that whole heavy type of stuff. That's what I'm kind of into. So Entrance is in my top 4. So
yeah, that's cool. That's a really good album, and I think an important album. I think I've heard an interview with Klaus Meine, and he said that if you want to get into the Scorpions, you start with Entrance. Like you start there and you go forward, because I think that was kind of like where they I think they found their sound. Like at first they were they were a totally different band, but then they like kind of like knew what they were gonna do like from that album. So.
Yeah, the first two albums, like I didn't even think that was the Scorpions.
No, it's a completely different band. No,
Yes,
I like I like them, you know, but it was a completely different thing.
yeah.
Okay, so number 3. So yeah, that was the one. So from Blackout, I have No One Like You,
Okay.
and that was the one you mentioned before. And for me, it was like the blueprint for like hair metal, because you listen to this song, and it came out in 1981, but it sounds exactly like everything else that you heard in like 1987, 86, 88. You know, it just has that same sound. And I like how you made the connection to the Ronnie James Dio. I never really like made that connection, but yeah, it just kind of starts out, and it just with those the lead guitar riff, that's really great. It has a really great sound, and it kind of mixes with like the verse is kind of like clean, and it's kind of like a power ballad. I mean, you could categorize it as that, but it's a little heavier than that. But it is just, I think it is just like it's like the blueprint for like that late 80s hair metal. I think it all like started like with this album, with this song. And that's why I like this one a lot. Yeah.
Hey, that's like, is that the only one so far that we've agreed on? That's, well, so far. So far we actually have that. That's the only one we have that's the same, right?
Yeah, I think so far. But
so far.
Actually, my next one is going to be another repeat, but I won't say it yet.
Oh, okay. So I won't say that. Okay, yeah. So number 3 for me is I would consider it a deep. I'm going to say it's a deep cut, even though it's just a song that wasn't released from the album. I like it better than Rhythm of Love from Savage Amusement, and that's When Passion Rules the Game.
Okay.
I like the guitar work on it much better. You know, everything just felt like it was a much tighter creation. You know, there wasn't a lot of distortion in the guitar or anything. Everything was just kind of played straight down the line, very clean, very crisp. But I mean, again, the subject matter is obviously, it is what it is. They're usually talking about one of two things, and sex is always one of those two things, no matter what. So, yeah, I like this track. I once I went back and listened again, I liked it better than Rhythm of Love, and I consider it one of their stronger tracks, definitely from the late 80s. So,
yeah, definitely. That album, I think most people just like know Rhythm of Love, and that album does have a lot of like good songs that aren't really as well known. I think it kind of I think the album that came before, Love at First Sting, was kind of like overshadows that. This one was released like maybe like 2 years later. It's kind of like sandwiched between like two of their big albums, like Love at First Sting and Crazy World.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's why some of those songs don't get the attention.
And you said it yourself. I mean, how many those types of bands were out between 1988 and 90? Just a crazy amount. I mean, we know that White Lion, you know, Kicks. I mean, there was just a ton of those bands that sounded like that during that time, you know? So.
Yeah, that's why I said that like they had that sound. Yeah. Okay, cool. So my number 2 is The Zoo that you talked about before, from Animal Magnetism. And, you know, just everything you said, I did like that, like marching sound, like that gallop. I really love that gallop. It just, that's the thing that kind of like just makes the song really great. But one thing and I didn't actually know this until my brother told me once, that the song is actually about New York City, when they visited New York City. And if you listen to the lyrics, they talk about a lot of things. They mention like 42nd Street and going there and making your dreams come true. And it's true. And, you know, it resonates with me because, you know, I'm from New York. I lived in New York City for a few years in like the, you know, mid to late 90s. And it was kind of different because when I lived there, it was, you know, it was cleaned up. But this one came out, Animal Magnetism came out in like 79. And, you know, I don't know if you've been to New York or you've seen the movies, that New York was kind of like very shady, a lot of crime. Times Square right now, you know, you see all these like big buildings, but back then there was a lot of like CD places, and, you know, those like porn shops and things like that. And but that was all like cleaned up. I guess towards the late 80s was, when I lived there, there was, it was a whole different place. But
Yeah.
that's why I like the song. So it just kind of like brings back a lot of memories of like the New York City for me. Also.
Wow. Okay, we're
So,
gonna stay on the same album then. And at number 2 for me is Animal Magnetism, the song right after the bookend track for Animal Magnetism.
okay,
Um,
cool.
I thought it was a great way to end the album. It has like a minute intro before it finally kind of gets going. It has a very rhythmic guitar once it does start, and it
Yeah.
reminded me of Megadeth's In the Darkest Hour.
Oh,
Remember?
cool.
Yeah, it sounded the same rhythmic pattern to me. It sounded just like that, and I latched onto the song. I really enjoy the song, so I put it at number 2. This is going to be my favorite side, and it probably could end up being my favorite Scorpions album when it's all done.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to the song when we're done because I never
Yeah,
really made that connection.
yeah,
Because I always liked the Zoo, but I mean, I think that one it didn't really click with me, like what you said with Megadeth, and that's one of my favorite like Megadeth songs of all time, like In My
yeah.
Darkest Hour.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to go back. Okay, my number one, and I want to see if we match on this one, but it is "Still Loving You" by Love at First Sting. This is a really great 80s power ballad, just really great vocals, and this is another song very representative of the time, and I think it is one of probably their best ballad because it is just really great guitars, really great vocals, and it just has that like 80s sound. And Love at First Thing, it's another really great album. I think I did have a couple from that album, and but that's it. So that's my number one. So
Okay, well, we didn't hit on number 1 because
okay.
what I have at number 1 is from Taken by Force. I have the Sales of Charon.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I have that one. I think there's a story kind of behind that. Is that my license plate says Charon on it,
Oh,
and
cool.
usually what I get is people say, "Is that your girlfriend's name?" They don't even they don't even know any mythology. They don't even know that it's the name of Pluto's moon or anything like that. I like it. I like the guitars on it. I think that there's very the guitars are very different, yet they both have this. They create this haunting sounding feel to it, and
Yeah.
it makes the whole track sound very prog rock to me. So I really latched onto it a little bit more, and I would have never thought in a million years that this would be my number 1 because I had never even heard the song before. But after I ran through there a few times and I got whittled it down to 15, and then you're listening to just
Yeah.
that 15 and going back, I had this one was clearly number 1 for me. This is probably maybe psychedelic rock and prog rock are influencing my decisions here a little bit more,
Yeah.
but I just feel like it's a strong track.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's an awesome one. Yeah, we did match. Well, I had that my 7, but this is a great song, and this album, Taken by Force, I've like never heard of it. I think I listened to it for the first time maybe a year or 2 ago. I just saw it recommended somewhere, and then I did do a Scorpions ranking a few weeks. I think it was like a month or 2 ago, and actually, not to spoil my ranking, but I did rank this album number 3, I think, out of the entire discography.
Wow.
So I really enjoyed this album, and
So
that was
who was number 2? Because I know Love at First Sting must have been your number 1 then.
well. I gotta see if I remember correctly. I know my number 1 is Blackout, and
Okay.
my number 2, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was Animal Magnetism.
Okay.
But I gotta go back and watch it.
Yeah, Animal Magnetism would be my number 1. So
Yeah.
that's cool. I like it. Yeah.
But my number 1 is Blackout, just because of the songs and because of the album cover. Actually,
Yeah.
I have some artwork. It's kind of, you can't really see it, but it's kind of like on the other part of the wall.
Okay.
But let me see if I can.
See if you can kind of shimmy a little bit there.
You see it in the corner?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
I see it. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I did some artwork of that cover.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Really like that.
Well, awesome. Well, we only hit on like 3, but that's okay. I feel like all the tracks are really good. So it's not like they weren't all in contention.
Cool. Okay, so cool. Yeah, this was a really fun exercise because it was kind of cool because I I kind of did the deep dive, you know, like a month ago. So I didn't really need to prepare too much for this, but it's pretty cool that you picked a lot of different ones.
Yeah, I think I got 7 different albums. I think that's not bad. They all kind of fell in between. They all kind of fell within about a 12, 13-year period, but still, I got them all the same. Yeah.
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 Okay, so cool. So let me end up the video for anybody watching. Please subscribe to Brian. I'll put a link to his video in the video description. So thanks for watching. Let me stop the recording.